Hello and welcome aboard the Wootumbo What's the Attraction, folks? I'm Skipper TAP-G.
And I'm Skipper SurferClock.
And say goodbye to the beautiful people on the dock. And say goodbye to the ugly people too, they need love.
Grab your best khaki and work on your puns. It's time to hit up the perennial favorite at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, the world-famous Jungle Cruise.
And boy, are we gonna have pun today.
Wow, out of the starting gate quick already, aren't we?
Hi, TAP-G, have we met?
Fair enough. So, continuing our 5-episode recut, we're bringing you an enhanced episode of the Jungle Cruise. Let's begin, shall we?
It's no secret Walt Disney had a fascination with the animal kingdom. The real animal kingdom. From the animated films starring Mickey Mouse, Bambi, and Lady and the Tramp to his true-life adventure documentaries. In Disneyland's up-and-coming Adventureland, Walt planned a boat ride featuring real live animals. You have to admire ambition like that, but of course, the flip side of that would be that if the ride went down, that may mean more than just a leak in the boat.
Skipper TAP-G! Skipper TAP-G!
What is it, Skipper SurferClock?
It's our first day on the job at Disneyland, and already things are going to pot. The asphalt on Main Street is too soft, gas leak in Fantasyland, overcrowding, ticket forgery, and rides are going 101 left and right. How are things over here?
Smooth sailing, Skipper buddy. Crowds are heavy, but not unmanageable.
And the animals?
Great, they're fine.
You fed them, right?
You said you were going to.
I was, but I had to be put on elephant duty. Ugh, I wish they would just stop feeding them churros. Hey, what's that in your hand?
Oh yeah, tiger restraint. I was just on my way to switch out the tiger's leash. His is pretty frayed. He's feisty from all the flash photography.
So to recap, we have a testy, hungry tiger who might bust free any minute.
Sounds about right. Why you ask? I'll put up the rope and the come back later sign.
And I'll spill some kisses.
Ooh, look at him going to town on that giant mouse!
Dude, that giant mouse signs your paycheck. Yeah, live animals weren't gonna work.
More like that animals would sleep all day or hide from guests. So reluctantly, Walt had to resort to simple movement animatronics, pneumatic ones that don't need oil, so no chance of them polluting the connected waterways of Walt Disney World.
But in the 1960s, after about a decade of boat excursions, the story goes that Walt overheard a mother tell her child they didn't need to ride the Jungle Cruise again. Well, Walt wasn't going to stand for that. The ride, which had a straightforward National Geographic approach, with a pinch of 1950s naivete and political incorrectness, was in need of an overhaul. Bringing aboard longtime animator and newly crowned Imagineer Mark Davis, Mark breathed new life into the ride. The treed safari, the elephant bathing pool, even the gorillas raiding the camp were all scenes first sketched out by this member of Walt's revered 9 Old Men. And a new script was added, so the Jungle Cruise would be a funny excursion through the world's corn and cheese crops.
Corn and cheese crops?
Well, sure. Where else do they get all those corny and cheesy jokes?
Well played, amigo. Well played. Over the years, the world-famous Jungle Cruise has remained virtually the same. In 2013, as part of the Limited Time Magic campaign, the Jungle Cruise got a layover for the holidays called the Jingle Cruise. Despite the festive-looking posters, all that really changed was some additional decorations in the queue and a holiday-themed script for the skippers. Though it's still a bit early to tell, this may become an annual thing, kind of like Disneyland's Haunted Mansion Holiday, where the famous spooky ride gets a Nightmare Before Christmas makeover. That's a fact, Jack. Skellington.
The story of the Jungle Cruise is as such. The Jungle Navigation Company prospered during the Roaring Twenties, shipping and distributing cargo in the depths of some of the world's thickest and wildest jungles. But the crippling depression of the 30s forced the company to use their boats and their questionable expertise to navigate the treacherous rivers of South America, Africa, and Asia, which all happened to connect together for a 12-minute civilization-free world tour. How convenient.
Once you step in the boat, stay on the skipper's good side by not crossing the crates, and the jokes start early. Soon you're off into the rather empty Amazon River of South America, save for a few foot-long wide butterflies. Sorry, I mean 12-inch.
Next is Africa's Congo River. Well, as long as you ignore the fact that the boats on the beach are actually Polynesian and not from the Congo, you'll be fine. After that is the Gorilla Camp, where a few renegade apes have raided the camp of the explorers. You know, they say if you listen real hard, you can hear Rosie O'Donnell playing backup vocals.
Oh, I think that's just a wild rumor. I don't think Rosie ever actually... Huh. Learn something new every day. Next is the world's longest river, the Nile. You breeze by some elephants, an open veldt, a treat safari, and finally over to Schweitzer Falls, where your boat takes a wild turn into the even deeper jungle. And hey, keep an eye out for the crashed plane. Local rumors say that the front half of it is over at Hollywood Studios' Great Movie Ride, and there even seems to be a unique history behind that very plane. For more information, click on the link we provided below, courtesy of yesterland.com.
But you're not out of the woods, or jungle as it were. There's danger in these waters. Look out! It's
Hungry, hungry hippos, we're hungry, hungry hippos. We love to feed our face. We're hungry, hungry hippos.
Now none of that. We already lost too many white marbles to those hippos. How do you explain TAP-G's lost marbles?
Oh, shut up!
You shut up.
Shut up! Well, the hippos are gone, but the natives are restless. Literally. The headhunters are ready to attack. Politically incorrect, but otherwise ready to attack. Here you have to really give this ride a pass on its portrayal of African natives, since this was the 50s after all, and yet somehow Song of the South is what gets people in a tizzy!
Dude, let it go. But yeah, the natives then spring forth, armed to the teeth, and attack the boat. Oh, and keep an ear out for one particularly brave savage who blurts out, "I love disco!" Boy, talk about being a product of the 70s. Well, after a drift under the elusive backside of water, your boat finally arrives on Cambodia's Mekong River, complete with a dilapidated old temple. Is your skipper foolhardy enough to enter? What do you think?
Just steer clear of the grumpy tiger inside the temple. He doesn't like humans. Do we, Shere Khan?
Indeed not, man-cub.
See, of course not, just like I told— Ah!
And once out of the temple, you enter the elephant bathing pool, full of all those hydrophilic pachyderms. Just hope your skipper steers away from the impish elephants who want to drench your boat. And at last wrap up your 2-week excursion by stopping by Trader Sam, who's got some great deals to ensure you come out ahead, shall we say? Finally, your pun-filled ordeal is over, and you return to the docks of Adventureland, largely unscathed and hopefully with everybody present. And how is one supposed to perceive this odd journey of the funny bone? Well, here's our take. The ride is dated, however, but you typically don't mind it so much because it's supposed to look kind of oldish.
Yeah.
But, it is rustic, and that's part of the charm. There's no denying that the skipper can make or break your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on whether you get that one who still loves doing what he's doing, telling all the funny jokes, or you get the one who cannot wait until his shift is over in an hour.
Yep, and while I don't consider the Jungle Cruise a must-see, it is something that, again, you should do at least once, especially if this is your first time there and you've never seen it. While I don't consider the Jungle Cruise a must-see every time I go, I do have kind of the luxury of living here, so it's something I do enjoy it. It's not something I have to see every time, especially if the wait time's a little too long.
Like over 20 minutes.
Yeah, anything over 20 minutes, I'm not gonna stop by.
Well, it's interesting for me because, you guys hear me on the show all the time, and I'm always telling the really stupid, dumb jokes, right? And oddly enough, this attraction doesn't appeal to me a lot.
Are you serious?
See,
this doesn't appeal to you.
Okay, let me explain. I do tell some weak, unfunny jokes, but I tell them fairly once in a while. But overall, this is an attraction that tells one-liners and jokes, and one-liners and puns, I mean to say, and it does get old kind of fast. As natives, I have ridden this attraction so many times, so for me, there's not much of a surprise to it anymore. And yes, the skipper can make or break it, but do realize that they have to follow a pre-approved script. Otherwise, they do run the risk of getting in trouble if they go off script. Here's the thing, though. There's so many different kinds of humor out there that if you really want something to be funny, you have to hit a broad spectrum. Think about it. If you put a guy who likes slapstick, a guy who likes dark humor, a guy who likes blue humor, and a guy who likes insults, and a guy who likes puns, one-liners, if you have each of these different kinds of humor in the boat, you're going to get different results. Some might like some of the puns, and others to a lesser extent. But for the most part, these jokes just need something. If it can adapt to the times and grow and evolve like Universal's horror makeup show, I think this could be spectacular. But just going off the gimmick that these are silly, corny jokes, I don't think it's enough.
I think also it's something that even in spirit, Uncle Walt has touched. And you know what happens to things that Uncle Walt touched?
Right, people can
They
be
don't get changed.
Yeah, people do get very conservative about it, and they don't want it to change, and I don't blame them. But sometimes things do need to grow and evolve and change. Look what happened to the Disney company between the 60s and 80s. It finally took 20 years for them to stop saying, what would Walt have done, and start saying, hey, let's do something new. I think the animatronics are very cute. I like how they move. I like how they operate. I think that there's some interesting contrast between the realistic-looking animals and some of the more cartoony ones. But it merges well. I like them. The theming is there and appropriate. I do like the queue, even if most of it is just a bunch of switchbacks.
And there are a lot of really clever little puns. If you are paying attention adequately enough and you're actually sitting there and really you have nothing better to do,
yeah,
go ahead and read some of the boards and stuff. Especially the people who got lost out there.
Yeah, listen to all the look at all the jokes and listen to the speakers overhead at somewhere the folks are saying. If everyone else around you isn't too loud.
That's true.
But I think as a whole, it does throw a lot of people off because it does require you to pay more attention than the average guest is willing to pay attention. And I think they see, cute Disney jokes, and they just kind of move on.
Sure.
So there's that. I do like those subtle in-jokes, but overall, the ride is enjoyable. I think it should stay. I have nothing against it. I just think that it needs to grow, evolve, and adapt to the times.
It's a lot to ask.
It's a lot to ask, but they did the same thing with Fantasia. That was supposed to be a growing and evolving showpiece, and it finally took 60 years for them to get around to it. It wasn't as great as the original, but hey, it was an attempt nonetheless.
It was something, which is certainly better than nothing.
So overall, great ride. Check it out at least once, but I think it just needs to keep adapting its script as the years go by, instead of using jokes that have been done since the 80s. So I personally give this a 2.5 out of 5.
Now, I'm going to rate it slightly higher based solely on the reason that I feel like it's kind of nice to not know who you're going to get. Now, I've gotten to know a couple of the skippers that are there in my time over there, but most of the time I am getting skippers that I don't know, and sometimes they'll have a pretty unique take on it. So I feel like the surprise factor for me really helps to keep it from being just average. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3 out of 5. So that's a 2.5 out of 5 from TAP-G and a 3 out of 5 from SurferClock.
The Jungle Cruise is one of the few rides that allows guests in wheelchairs and scooters to roll right into the boat, and assistive listening is available upon request. What's that?
Oh, that's Skipper Dan. Oh, hi, Skipper Dan.
Hey, Skipper Dan! Boy, he does not look good today.
Should someone take his gun away?
Oh, no, they're all blanks now.
Oh, good.
So, what can we say about this attraction's audiences? To whom can we recommend it?
Those looking for a silly, classic Disney ride. It certainly has an audience. It's not thrilling, it's not exciting, and it's not too rough. But there's certainly a charm to it. Kids will love the animatronic animals, and adults will love some of the corny jokes.
Some of them. It's a Magic Kingdom staple. It's a great, sweet little trip through the jungle. A classic. Check it out at least once. You'll be glad you did.
And now our global expedition into the jungle is coming to a close. Please gather all your personal belongings. It's been real. It's been fun. It hasn't been real fun.
Hope you enjoyed our little review, folks. Now log off. Oh, I'm sorry. Where are my manners? Please log off. Play us off, Skipper Dan.
Thanks again for listening, folks. I'm Skipper SurferClock.
And I'm Skipper TAP-G.
Thanks for listening to What's the Attraction?
Where our work is your vacation. Congaloosh!
Now I'm laughing at my own jokes, but I'm crying inside, 'cause I'm working on the Jungle Cruise ride.